I've been getting a lot of negativity lately from you all, in that I'm selling out. My Hoopty fleet is diminishing, and I'm slowly replacing it with a bunch of exotic cars. Now, buying the cheapest McLaren in the USA certainly isn't going to help with this, but it was only $2,000, and it's actually made by Pontiac. Hello. Stay with me. It is really a McLaren. Now, if you change the model designation around to McLaren ASE Grand Prix, my 1990 Pontiac does actually sound like something McLaren would offer today. But back in 1990, McLaren was still just a racing marquee. Their legendary first production car, the F1, was still years away from changing the definition of the term supercar. And before this, their brand name, along with some tuning consulting, was licensed out to the American Sunroof Company. This was a factory and aftermarket supplier of auto parts like convertible tops and sunroofs. And they did the McLaren treatment initially on the Ford Capri and Mustangs, but in their final years with the McLaren contract, they turned their sights on the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix. I know, a front-wheel drive, full-size coupe with an underwhelming 140 horsepower V6 seemed like a horrible platform to attach to the McLaren namesake, but they actually made something really cool here. Personally, I think Pontiac was really at their styling best in the early 90s. If you think about it, the first Bonneville in this kind of futuristic style was super cool, along with the Grand Prix and the Grand Am, and eventually the Trans Am, the Firebird, had this really futuristic, cutting-edge look that just was really, really neat. It's too bad the performance for the front-wheel drive cars, at least, was not very good. And if you've never heard of the Grand Prix ASE McLaren, it's totally understandable, as they only made a few thousand of them at most. Differences in the exterior from the stock Grand Prix included widened wheel arches with a custom body kit. It looks really good. These hood scoops that are actually functional, and gold basket weave wheels. Since it came from the American Sunroof Corporation, it of course came with a sunroof standard, and since it's an aftermarket sunroof, of course it leaks. While some performance upgrades do exist to give this car some credibility as a McLaren, just a little, the most impressive part of this car is by far this ridiculous interior. The first thing you notice when you're inside are these very, very strange seats, which for the first time in any car that I've ever seen look like exposed buttocks. Literally every time you get in the car, you are greeted with a full moon. Badonkadonk. Now the front seats have air bladders as well, so these buttocks can actually flex to give you desired firmness and comfort. Now the rear seats were also given this overstuffed treatment, and it looks really cool, but you lose the center seat, so it makes it more of a European style 2x2 treatment. Now the amazing thing is, after you spend 5 minutes pointing and laughing at these ridiculous seats that look like a tushy, you start to notice all the other hilarious features with this car. Of course, this steering wheel is amazing. It was in early 90s Pontiacs. It's not special to the McLaren. And all that went away when they started mandating airbags. Combined with the stereo itself, it has like 40 buttons in here, I think. The entire car probably has close to 100 buttons, which is nuts. And below the stereo is this video game looking thing that's actually a compass and an engine computer. And the glove box, it can be locked, and you can give it a combination like an old briefcase to unlock it. Yes, it's real. I can't believe it myself. Another insane feature this car has is a heads-up display. Above the instrument cluster is an actual heads-up display unit in a car in 1990. And the whole treatment of the buttons around the instrument cluster and everything else makes this thing look like a total spaceship. It is so cool. And $2,100 is a lot for a 1990 Pontiac, but to me it's worth it just to be able to view the interior, this insane interior, on a regular basis. Oh man, this is the king of hoopties. Welcome to the future. Oh yeah. And the ridiculous door-mounted seat belt. That can't be safe. All right, you ready to hear the roar of a McLaren? You hear that turbo noise? Sounds like a pigeon. Oh, that is so cool. About 200 horsepower out of the 3.1 V6 with the turbo. That sounds like a pigeon. But this interior is really where it's at. Unfortunately, I can't drive this car with very much confidence and enjoy this crazy interior because it does have issues. The biggest issue it has are the brakes. When I hit the brakes, they don't do a whole lot. I forgot about the other problem I'm having. When I floor this car, in addition to all of the warning lights on, check gauges, anti-lock, brake light, the tachometer and the speedometer are way off, and they actually get in a little sword fight in the instrument cluster if they hit at just the right spot. They're both way off. Apparently I'm going at about 8,000 RPM right now when I'm cruising at 1,500 RPM, and I'm going, well, the speedometer is actually reading correctly for the moment, but now it's going way up and back down. But what's weird is the heads-up display, the thing you would expect to never work, is working just fine, and it's reading an accurate speed. So riddle me that. This thing is so ridiculously cool. It just shows that you can be a car enthusiast and have a super rare, unusual car at any budget. I think if I parked this thing down at a Cars and Coffee or a car show, it would turn some serious heads by the people who are just looking at it going, what the heck is this? Why do the seats have buttocks? But crazy instrument cluster aside, everything seems to work in this car. The climate control, all the buttons down here are working just fine. And it's weird, even though they're plastic, they're like literal buttons that you have to push, and you hear a click every time you touch them. Same with the stereo, with all these crazy adjustments. It's working just fine as well.
Credit cards and on balance transfer.
Yeah, commercials, that's what radio is nowadays. And even my compass is pointing me due north, which is correct. How could you not buy this car for $2,000? It is the coolest $2,000 car in existence, by far, for sure. Wizard! You like my McLaren?
That doesn't look like a McLaren.
It's a McLaren, and it came with this. I know how much you love these.
Service manual.
Big service manual. No Googling for you. 1990, the McLaren, like I told you about. Well, Pontiac Grand Prix, ASC, the American Sunroof Corporation. The sunroof leaks, of course. It's an aftermarket sunroof.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do anything about that, but there are some issues I hope you can help me with.
What's that?
The brakes. I told you about the brakes on the phone. They're scary. They barely work.
These
So
have those computerized, all combined ABS garbage on it, don't they? Well, we can take a look and see what the brake.
sure. Also, my gauge needles, they like fight with each other. It's a sword fight when they go. Yes.
They're jousting.
Yeah, it's not good. But
Okay.
hey, came. Yes. But it's a McLaren.
Look at the turbo.
Look at that big Garrett turbo.
Wow.
Oh yes. 3.1 intercooled. That is a very illustrious engine found in the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra and Pontiacs and occasional Chevys.
Here's the wonderful brake system. I think if we were to try to source this unit rebuilt or whatever, it would exceed the value of the car.
well, that's not hard. These things aren't worth a whole lot.
Something like that, we could probably put it back to like a plain old Grand Prix. Put a vacuum booster, standard brakes. And
I lose ABS.
you'll lose ABS.
Yeah, that's no problem. Gauge thing's annoying, but the heads-up display, it actually works. It reads the speed.
So that works.
Yeah,
So that means the computer is seeing how fast the car's going.
right.
Something's going on in the cluster then.
You're an electrical wizard, so I know you'll get that. But I wonder what other surprises this thing has.
Well, we can put it on the lift and see what it looks like underneath.
I guess we can, but
We can do like this, the needles on the gauges and kind of cross our fingers and
yes. It's probably going to be bad.
it's pretty dry under here for what I expected.
It's not horrible. I know it's been quite a bit of time in Ohio, so seeing a little undercarriage rust is going to be expected, but it's a General Motors product, so even if it lived in California, seeing undercarriage rust would be... It definitely beats a 1983 LeBaron.
Yeah. I wonder how it's doing by now. It's probably got worms in it.
We need to dig that up.
Look, it's got one single leaf spring across the back.
Oh my God, this is a McLaren wizard. Well, this is a first. There's no horrible surprise underneath this thing. I'm actually...
It's really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be a joke, just total leaks and rust.
Yeah, well, it was raining when I bought it, so I couldn't go underneath and look, but it looked like a solid car. The thing is, I paid $2,100 for it, which is probably all that it's worth. So any dime from here is just money down the drain, but it's such a cool car. Just sitting in it and looking at it is just cool. It's almost worth the $2,000 price of admission just to do that. So I'm definitely going to spend the money to fix it, and then I can actually enjoy the car, take it to some shows, some Cars and Coffee, and blow people's socks off, because nobody knows this McLaren exists. I have a McLaren. I also have another car that Wizard's about to work on. We're going to talk about it on Friday, but if you want a little sneak peek, check out the Wizard's last video. He actually started a YouTube channel just recently, and we're trying to get him going. So go over there, check out this video, and subscribe to his channel so he can wow you with his wizardry.
Wizard powers.
Yeah, you can kind of see it back there. It's pretty cool. Bought it on the reality show. But that'll do it for the McLaren. Thank you for watching. I can't believe this thing isn't one big pile of